tuning in to Real Talk with Tamara. On today's show, I have Susan Moore here. She's the Director of Community Health Education for the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Foundation. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm doing great, and any program that will help bring awareness to ovarian cancer, I'm just very happy to come out and talk about. So.
Yes, I'm glad you got out on this hot day today because it is very hot out there.
It is.
I had to train at the academy today, and they made us run and walk in the hot sun, and I thought that I was going to pass out.
Well, you look very good for doing that. So.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell me about the organization.
Well, the organization is called the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Foundation. It was founded around, I think, in 2007 by Judy Childress, and it was because her sister was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And they really didn't know much about the disease, so they wanted to find out more and to prevent this disease from happening to other women. So she went on a search, and she came up with the information, and she decided that she wanted to start her nonprofit to help other women. Her sister Tina passed away last year.
Okay.
But her fight was lost, but it really wasn't lost because it brought her to really bring this organization full circle, and so that we can educate more women and hopefully prevent more deaths.
Why did you decide to get involved?
Well, I am actually an 11-year survivor now.
Okay.
I was actually diagnosed on my 23rd wedding anniversary. It was kind of scary, and it took me a while because I was afraid to come forward because of the fact that there are, the statistics are not there as far as survival. And so I actually waited till I was like 10 years survival to really become involved in coming in. But I was a nurse educator, and I recently retired from teaching. So I decided that what better marriage would it be to educate women about the disease that I was lucky enough to survive as long as I have, and mesh my educational skills with educating women.
Yes, you know, when I decided to do a show on this, I know that we, get a lot of education on breast cancer, but it's like ovarian cancer is overlooked, and more women are being diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And even when I did a Google search here in Memphis, this organization is like one of the only organizations that deal with.
It is. It is one of the only organizations. We are part of the national organization, the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance, and but this is the only only organization here in the Mid-South area. So I just want to let women know out there, or people that are interested in learning about it, that we not only are here in the Memphis area where this is being taped, but also we will go to northern Mississippi and eastern Arkansas, also to help raise awareness and education.
Okay. How many people would you say this organization has helped?
That's very hard to say, but one story that really sticks out in my mind was we were doing an awareness table at the Germantown Festival, and a woman came up to us and was telling us her symptoms, and they suggested that was even before I got involved, but I heard about her story right after I got involved, and she just came up and started talking about her symptoms, and they urged her to go see her gynecologist immediately, and she was diagnosed. And so, so it's very hard to say how many specifically that we have helped, but by getting out there and teaching women and to bring the awareness of the signs and symptoms and things that they can do to prevent, that I feel like we are reaching more and helping more.
How prevalent is ovarian cancer now?
Prevalent, ovarian cancer, unfortunately, because of its difficulty in diagnosing, it is often found at a late stage. Right now, in this year, 22,000 women will die. 22,000 women will be diagnosed with the disease, and out of that, 14,000 women will die. So we only have like a 44% survival rate, the 5-year survival rate. So those statistics are terrible, you know, in my mind. It is the leading gynecologic cancer death among women. You know, as you said before, everyone thinks of breast cancer. But nobody really thinks about ovarian cancer. In fact, even when I was diagnosed, that was the furthest thing from my mind, what was occurring. So,
and another thing that I found, it was you that I spoke with about African American women being diagnosed. A lot of them, well, this is what I know about African American women. It's very taboo. They don't like to talk about it because I know in the African American community, a lot of women have been taught or been told that if they have to have a hysterectomy, because 9 times out of 10 you would have to have a hysterectomy.
That's correct.
Which is, they're just taking your ovaries out. But a lot of African American women are ashamed because they've been taught or told that if you have to have a hysterectomy, you're no longer a woman. You know, you don't have your female organs anymore, or it's just a lot of silliness. And I want for the African American women and the African American men, I don't want them to be ignorant anymore about this, because this is too serious. Too many women are dying. I want the men to know she's still just as much of a woman as she always was. She only had to have her ovaries taken out. It's just like if you have your tubes tied, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
She just can't have babies anymore.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You would rather have your life.
Exactly. You know, your life is very precious, and if you can diagnose it early and be lucky like I am to be around 11 more years, that's great. And I am finding that out more and more, and I am putting my nursing knowledge to the test, you know, being in my position now with the organization. But the fact of the matter is that I am finding that, you know, a lot of African American women shy from talking about it, probably for the reasons that you had stated, and that if we can get them to be more open, you know, I'm trying my best to learn the culture a little bit more, and so that I can reach more women, because I feel like, you know, they're even afraid sometimes to stop at our booth for fear that, you know, they might find out something that, you know, they don't want to hear. So, you know, it's my goal to really educate all women and hopefully empower them to make sure that they get the testing and the medical diagnoses, the correct medical diagnoses, to live a happy, healthy life.
I'll never forget when I was I guess I must have been in the 7th grade, because I was in home ec. And my home ec teacher, she was a female white, and she was talking about, she had 3 sons. And I asked her, I won't say her name, but I asked her, I said, well, did you ever want a little girl? She said, yeah, I did. She said, but you know, Tamara, I've had what you call a hysterectomy, and I can remember growing up what was taught. And I was like, oh my goodness, she's just going to say that openly, that she had a hysterectomy? Oh my God, because I didn't know, you know, because I was taught you don't tell people that you've had to have a hysterectomy. You don't talk about stuff like that because you're no longer a woman, because all of your, you know, just a lot of ignorant stuff. But what I found was she was very open about it. She was like, I had to have a hysterectomy, you know, so I couldn't have a girl, but that's okay. And you know, she had to have a hysterectomy, because had she not had a hysterectomy, she probably wouldn't have been alive, you know, because she had some medical problems, because she explained that to us also. So you're right. I want the African American community and all communities of all cultures to be educated on this disease so that they can live longer.
Well, that's now that you just mentioned the hysterectomy part too, that's another misnomer that's out there with a lot of women, because when I'm out there at a table, they'll say, oh, I'm all set, you know, all that. But now, because you know, of the hormones that the ovaries usually put out, you know, if it's for another reason they have the hysterectomy, be it endometriosis or fibroids or other female problems, a lot of times the surgeons, the gynecologists, will just remove the uterus. and keep the ovaries, or at least one ovary, just for the hormonal balance of
And
the
is
body.
it like a partial hysterectomy?
A partial hysterectomy. And the fact of the matter is, if you still have one ovary, you can still get ovarian cancer.
Wow.
And and the same is true as even if you did have a hysterectomy, there's also a cancer called primary peritoneal cancer, which is very closely related to ovarian cancer. So once all your organs are removed, some of those cells could have been implanted before you had the hysterectomy and start growing. And again, then you get another cancer. And it's in the same class as ovarian cancer, even though it's not categorized as ovarian cancer. So it's very important for women to know that if they still have their ovaries, even though they've had a hysterectomy, they are still prone and possibly susceptible to getting ovarian cancer.
So why do you think that ovarian cancer isn't recognized as much as breast cancer maybe? Which breast cancer is very important. All cancers are.
Yes, it is.
But why do you think that it isn't recognized? Because like I said, when I did a Google search, this is like the only foundation.
It is. It is. Well, we'll be getting together in Washington, D.C. as part of the national conference here in another week. It's the weekend of July 9th. And we also go to Capitol Hill and advocate for women and to have some bills passed also for our cause. But ovarian cancer, I like to call it like the wicked stepsister of breast cancer. But the two of them are very related because there's a genetic component that they found out, and if you have the BRCA, which has been known as for a precursor to breast cancer, it also has a root in ovarian cancer. So, there's a possibility that you can have both breast and ovarian cancer, and I know many women in our organization that have the dual cancers. Why is it not as recognized? The fact of the matter is that we don't have any specific testing for ovarian cancer. And what's recently been in the news today and the last couple of days is really disturbing me, because the Academy of Physicians came out saying that women do not have to have pelvic exams every year.
Wow.
I would say if it wasn't for my pelvic exam in 2002, I might not have been alive. Because it was my doctor that sort of was doing my exam, and he gave me a funny look, and he asked me where I was in my cycle. And when I told him, and he says, "Oh, it's probably just because you're gonna, your period's gonna start soon, and not to worry about it." Well, then 2 months later, I started having other symptoms. So I think they started putting two and two together, and when they sent me for a CAT scan, and they saw the growth. Of course, I was a stubborn educator, and our school is going through accreditation, so I was trying to put surgery off to spring break, which didn't happen. I ended up having an emergency surgery in February, because I kept coming in with pain. So the doctors wanted to put a stop to it then. But, if I didn't have that pelvic exam when I was having no symptoms, I'm not sure if they would have really picked it up as fast as they did. And bring me for surgery. So that study out there right now is, it's very disturbing for me. And I hope that the surgeons, because it sounds like the gynecologists still want to do the yearly. So I think it's another thing coming down with this health insurance, with cost savings and everything else. But it seems like, not to take away from men or again breast cancer, but it seems like a lot of the little things that we have to help diagnose ovarian cancer is being shut down. And that is only going to lose more lives.
But you know what I found out when you go for a pap smear, because a lot of women think if they just go for their yearly that they've checked everything and they're okay. They don't even check for ovarian cancer, or I think they check just your cervix.
Correct.
That's it. And 30% of a pap smear, 30% of what's wrong is missed.
Exactly.
I found that out. So it's not 100% at all. And when I asked my doctor, because I just went for my yearly, about ovarian cancer, he was like, "Well, we would have to do some sort of test," and he was like, well, you know, you can come back and I could check you for it. I mean, if nothing is really wrong with your blood, there's really no reason to check for it. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yes. Well, that's that's the other thing. I do get it. The educationals, the women will say, well, my pap smear was fine. Well, the pap smear, okay, it's fine. That's precluding the cervix, but it's not taking any cells from your ovaries. So you really don't know. Other than the pelvic exam, which of course now this is going to be controversial, which I do think I like that controversial fight out there to go help educate. But the only other test that we have is the CA-125. And that CA-125 is a blood test. A lot of doctors don't like doing it because of the false positives. The more research I do on it, if you have endometriosis or any other inflammatory disease, and I'm even finding like inflammatory liver disease might cause a false positive. But so inflammation will cause the CA-125 to rise, but that seems to be about the only test that we have out there to help preclude and omit the possibility of ovarian cancer. So if a woman is suspected of having ovarian cancer, we always recommend the bimanual pelvic exam to get a CA-125 and also what they call a transvaginal ultrasound. That is actually when they put a probe in your vagina and can actually see the internal organs so that they can get a better study to see if there's any growth.
Because that's actually how they find a lot of the, what do they call the tumors that are the cysts?
The fibroid tumors.
The fibroid tumors. That's actually how they find a lot of the fibroid tumors.
So.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Coleman Thompson, asking for your vote and support for the office of Shelby County Registrar. That office consists of filing documents pertaining to real properties and administration. I have over 30 years of experience in business. I also serve on several boards. I'm Coleman Thompson, asking for your vote and support for the office of Shelby County Registrar. I approve this message. Thank you.
Call United Bonding Company at 577-1138. United Bonding Company is ready to serve you 24 hours a day with prompt, discreet, honest service. Our office is conveniently located across the street from the Criminal Justice Center at 201 Poplar Avenue. We write bail bonds in all the Shelby County courts, including juvenile court. All major credit cards are accepted. Call United Bonding Company at 577-1138 today.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a nice day. United Bonding Company, where good service with honesty and integrity comes naturally. United Bonding Company.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Tamara. I've been talking with Susan Moore. She's the Director of Community Health Education for the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Foundation. Susan, what are some of the symptoms of ovarian cancer, signs and symptoms?
Okay, that is why ovarian cancer is often so hard to detect because it mimics so many other diseases. The four most common ones are bloating, abdominal bloating, pelvic or abdominal pain, changes in your urinary habits, like urinary frequency, and also difficulty eating or feeling full fast. As in my, if you want to bring in a personal story into this, as far as the signs and symptoms being missed, I always had irritable bowel syndrome. So I think a lot of the times, when I was going in and saying that I had pain and all that, I think people were putting it off to that, as being the problem. But then, all the signs were really there. I mean, as far as the bloating, I remember going to work and joking with my colleagues. Well, that's funny, I'm not gaining any weight, but my pants aren't fitting anymore. Or, because we were going through a real stressful time at work, I was drinking a lot of coffee, so I figured, the urinary frequency was due to my coffee habit. And also then, feeling full, I said, I'm just tired, I just didn't really feel like eating, but, the signs and symptoms were there, and I missed them. And I think a lot of women do miss them. So now what we are encouraging, especially those top four, which I'll say again, are bloating, pelvic and abdominal pain, urinary frequency, and difficulty eating or feeling full soon after starting eating. We suggest that you keep a symptom diary, and if women have those symptoms for more than 12 days out of the month, to please go and see their gynecologist. And hopefully they will get more testing, which would be the pelvic exam, the CA-125, and the transvaginal ultrasound. And then if more suspicion is actually seen at that point, then they should be referred to a gynecologic oncologist, because those that are seen by a gynecologic oncologist have better outcomes as far as the disease process goes.
What are some of the risk factors?
Okay, I think I mentioned it earlier. One of the risk factors is genetics.
Okay.
Okay, and there's really two different genetic strains that are prevalent for ovarian cancer, and that is the BRCA, or the BRCA, the ones and twos, and that also goes for breast cancer. And there's another one that goes along with colon cancer, and that's called Lynch syndrome.
Okay.
Okay. Genetics really only has about a 5% risk, but yet there is a connection. So women need to be aware of that. Family history. If a first-degree relative was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, there's a 5% risk.
So it's just like your mom or your dad?
Your mom, it could be your mom's sister, your aunts.
Okay.
It could be your grandmother.
Okay.
So a first-degree relative.
Because I know one of my dad's sisters was, and then I heard this theory also that it only affects you if it's on your mother's side. If that's true?
That is not true.
Okay.
Okay, because, if you remember for those of you that have had biology class, if you remember how a baby is conceived, you get half of your chromosomes from your dad and half from your mom. So, you have a mixture of those genes. So you have that genetic makeup from both sides of the family. So, I could say if you happen to be the lucky one or maybe the unlucky one that got the bad genes.
Right.
So it can come from both sides of the family.
Okay. Oh, wow.
The other things that you want to know is increased age. The average age of being diagnosed with ovarian cancer is between 55 and 60. However, I was 46, and right now, we have some girls that were in their teens that were diagnosed, early 20s. I have a good friend from the Memphis Runners that's only 30, and she is fighting a battle right now. So we are starting to see it in younger people. Now, I don't know if that's because our education's getting better and we're making people more aware, or maybe because in this world we are starting to get a little bit more involved in health and wellness, so we are listening to our bodies a little bit more. So, hopefully now that we are catching it early, we'll see it. And the other one is your reproductive history. If you start your menses before age 12 or don't go through menopause till after age 50, you have a stronger chance. More and more women are now putting off childbearing because of their jobs, and they want to climb the career ladder. And if you don't have a baby, which we call null parus, or if you conceived your first child after age 35, that's considered a risk factor. And the use of contraceptives. If you don't use contraceptives, that's considered a risk factor. It's thought that because every month that you actually rupture, and you tend to injure the ovary when the egg ruptures and is released, and that forms scar tissue. So it gives the ovaries a great medium to form some cancer cells or some irregular cells. So that is why, non-use of contraceptives is considered a risk factor. Which brings me up to the Supreme Court decision this week.
Okay.
Which said that actually companies can actually deny the use of contraceptives or not pay for their contraceptives in their insurance policies or their medical benefits to their employees based on their religious preferences. But I guess that's where I'm going. Okay, you
And
know, your
birth control
boss,
pills, right?
birth control pills, right? So your boss might have one religious background, and because he owns the company, he's going to make decisions for other people down the line. And you know, everyone has different backgrounds, everyone has different cultures, everyone has different religions. So it's you know that's kind of
That's kind of bad because he's making a decision for you.
He is making a decision for us and for us as women, and you know that really it can hurt. You know, I think it should be, you know, I think they should offer it, and it should be the woman's choice whether they want to get it or not.
So if you have a baby after 35, that increases your risk of ovarian cancer.
Exactly.
Because like you said, more and more women are waiting until they're well over in their 40s
Right.
to have babies.
And so, you know, if you've then if you've had multiple pregnancies, because you don't tend to ovulate while you're pregnant, and also if you're breastfeeding, that seems to be a little bit of protection because, you know, ovulation is suppressed during that time. So, you know, you're not having that monthly injury to the ovary to hurt your tissues. So.
Okay. All right. What about healthy eating? How do you feel that eating healthy could help you?
Well, here's the facts. Estrogen, it's a normal hormone. Yes, it's produced by the ovaries, but it's also found naturally in a lot of fatty tissue. And I guess you can say that's why a lot of women say, you know, they always gain weight after menopause. Because what happens is your body tries to hold on to fatty tissue to supply that natural estrogen that you're not getting anymore from your ovaries that have shut down. So as far as a healthy diet, a low-fat diet will help. A low-fat diet will you won't make as much of your natural estrogen as some women. And also, you know, I just feel like eating healthy all along is just much better for you. Decrease the saturated fats, increase the good proteins and the good carbohydrates. And this is one thing that I always fight with my mother too, is drink plenty of water. A lot of people do not like to drink water, but you know, you should really drink a lot of water and fluids. Avoid the sugary drinks. And you know, if you start eating healthy and feeling healthy, and know your body, that should be, you know, things that you need to take into considerations to stay healthy and hopefully avoid any cancers. You know, that will help you avoid a lot of other cancers as well. It's not just ovarian. Because like I've heard women who are, especially if they're in remission, they talk about eating healthy, how they eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and they feel or they've been told that will help them to stay in remission. Eating healthy fruit, just eating healthy, like you just said, drinking lots of water. And I can say, you know, I live a very healthy lifestyle. I run 3 to 4 days a week. I go and do exercise classes, and I do eat a healthy diet. And I feel like, you know, those changes that I made after I was diagnosed, I think has helped me immensely. That's wonderful. Tell me about the walk that you all are getting ready to have for ovarian cancer. Okay, well, September is Ovarian Cancer Month, and this is one thing that we do like to put ahead against the breast cancer. We do like to turn the towns teal in September, and we're trying to turn a little bit of pink teal to make more awareness of the fact that breast cancer is not the only women's cancer that's out there that is very deadly. So as part of our celebration, we have a 5K walk run, and it's always the third Saturday of the month in September. And this year it's going to be September 20th, and it's going to be at Cancer Survivor Park. For those of you that are not familiar with Memphis, it is at Perkins and Poplar area. And what we do is we come out there and we run, we walk, we have festivities going there to bring more awareness of ovarian cancer, and we actually celebrate the life of our survivors and also remember our fallen sisters, our TL Angels.
Okay. And we only have a few more minutes. Tell me about the program that you have.
Okay, well, as part of the being the Director of Community Health Education, and with my background, I will be very happy to go out and talk to anybody to let people know about ovarian cancer and be aware of the signs and symptoms. One of the programs that we are bringing to Memphis, and we have our first program being set up at the PA school at UT Medical Center, and it's called Survivors Teaching Students. And even when I was teaching, I always liked to bring like real life case studies and case scenarios in there, because I felt like students related better if they knew a real story other than what they were reading in the textbooks. So what this program does is actually we bring in about 3 survivors, and we actually present our own individual stories of what happened, our signs and symptoms, our treatment, and the problems that we went through with oncology, to get the students to know it. And that's called Survivors Teaching Students. So I want all the listeners out there to know that if you have any contacts with medical schools, nursing schools, PA schools, or even your church organizations, if you would like us to come out there and talk about prevention, please contact me. And my email is Susan, SUSAN, .Moore, MOORE, at OCAFoundation.org. So that's Susan.Moore at OCAFoundation.org. Just email me and let me know, and I will try to get a group together and we can come out and educate. Or if you have needs for a health fair, we could be there at a booth to also give out information.
Okay, Susan, I've enjoyed having you here.
Well, thank you.
This is going to be, I'm so happy that we had the opportunity to do this show, because this information is very important to all women of all races, because it affects all races.
It is.
It's not a respect of persons or races.
No.
I want you to come back, especially when it's time for the race. I definitely want you to come back so that we can get out there with you all and support you.
That would be great.
And this is a nonprofit organization, so they do take donations. And
yes, we do.
Would hope that my viewers would support you all. Yes. Okay, thanks for being here, and thanks for tuning in to Real Talk with Tamara. Until next time, God bless you.